Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Stock Talk, a series where we cover exciting news and price action on a few stocks that are exciting me personally at the moment. Today, we are going to be covering some EV/green energy plays. Although this sector, along with many other hyper-growth sectors of the stock market, have gotten pretty beat up over the past few trading sessions, I just want to let you guys know I am still bullish, and I'm still very confident in the month ahead of us when it comes to positive price action. All right, so let's get into it. As always, we'll go over each topic we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, you guys know the drill. TradingView, where we will talk technicals, price action, and price targets on the following names today. In this order, going down the watch, as you can see right here on the right. Kicking it off with good old Churchill Capital, or CCIV. After CCIV, we are going to move on to Workhorse, then Helion, then the Chargers, ChargePoint, and BLNK, and then close it out with the good old OTC plays that are IQST and ALYI. All right, so we got a lot of names to cover today. We will definitely be spending the majority of our time on the charts in this video. But before we do dive into the technicals, I just want to reinforce some of the fundamental grounds that lead me to be so bullish on this sector, not only in the short term, but the medium and long term as well, okay, you guys? So, CNBC Pro, Bank of America, billions are about to pour into EV infrastructure, and these stocks will benefit. So, just a little preface here, we're not going to be covering these specific stocks. You guys can screenshot these guys if you wanted. They include all the ones they talk about. Not going to be looking into those. I am slowly but surely going over each of these stocks and kind of vetting them out after I've stumbled upon this article. Of course, we are going to be just touching on the names that I just mentioned in today's video. Maybe we'll talk about these more in the future, but I primarily just want to read you guys the intro to this article. Not going into crazy detail, but once again, this is the type of headline that I really like to see out there, that I really like to see in the ether. As I've been saying, you guys know with the infrastructure bills, with everything, all the capital that is about to be dedicated, that is about to be poured into EVs, not only the infrastructure, but the entirety of the ecosystem, the electric vehicle ecosystems, all of them out there, that again, just leads me to be very bullish, not only in the short term. Again, price action right now, the technicals, the charts look pretty solid for many of the plays we're going to be covering, but from a fundamental perspective, this is what I like to see. This is what leads me to be bullish on the entirety of the EV/green energy sector. Okay, so we'll kick it off with this, but before we do, as always, you guys, I will ask you to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today, or if you're bullish on any of the names we're covering, or just the EV/green energy sector in general. It is greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, want to catch more content like this. So you guys know EVs, green energy, this is probably the single sector in the entire market that I'm most bullish on at this moment in time. So very excited to cover these, along with, of course, other sectors, other revolutionary sectors of the market as well. You guys know the drill around here on the Waves family crew. And of course, check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link, well, I don't know, I might scroll down so much. First link down in the description if you guys want a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio, every single position in my entire personal portfolio. I do update this every single trading day during market hours, and along with every update, I send out a complimentary newsletter explaining my thoughts, throwing some charts in there in real time, letting you guys know price targets and my thoughts during actual trading hours of the market. So 15 bones a month. First link down in the description if you guys are interested in that, but if not, no worries at all. I appreciate you watching right now. So let's dive into the charts after we read, once again, just the quick intro to this. Electric vehicle adoption is at an inflection point, according to BOA analyst, who identified a new way to play the trend. An increasing need for EV charging technology is said to benefit a raft of global stocks, according to the bank, including semiconductor and big oil companies, as well as auto suppliers. Bank of America analyst, led by Harry Weibird, flagged a rapid rise in ownership of electric vehicles, obviously, with EVs on Europe's roads up 100% since pre-COVID. It's cool 2x over the course of COVID. In a research note published last week, they wrote, our updated charger forecasts see $80 billion of potential charging infrastructure investment by 2040 estimate. The bank estimates there are currently around 9 public charging points per 100 electric vehicles in Europe, and expects the number to rise as more of the cars hit the road. BofA also expects significant growth in home charging points, with around 60 million electric connectors by 2030. So once again, you guys, I'm not doubting the fact that the names you can see right here, these are some weird tickers, but you can look into them if you want. They do, if BofA has done their due diligence and research, which I have to imagine they have, these are probably pretty promising over the long term. But once again, this article is more just meant to reinforce the reason that I'm overall bullish on the EV and green energy sector. Again, not necessarily the short term, but just why overall I think this sector has so much potential over the medium and very obviously the long term. Okay, so this is more long term, this is more fundamental. Again, just reinforcing my fundamental bullish case for the EV sector. But let's talk some technicals, let's talk some short term potential price action, because that's what's more exciting right now. Okay, so once again, kick it off CCIV, get rid of that. That's just for the intro. But excuse me. CCIV was a pretty long weekend, guys. Please excuse if my voice is kind of shot. But CCIV right now is like the first thing I see here, you guys. On the shorter term, of course, we are going to be sticking to the 4-hour candles for all of the names we're going to be taking a look at today. So CCIV right now, I'm seeing a breakout of this little bull flag right here. Pretty janky bull flag, but even discounting this bull flag, I'm pretty much just seeing a series of higher lows and higher highs. All right, so we'll actually just get rid of these guys right here. Again, you see that parabolic move up, nice initial pop off. We're seeing some volume come back, which I really like to see. This volume that we're starting to see is nothing compared to what we saw back in the month of like January, February, but we are seeing volume come back. That does usually signify, if not a bottom, but like a reversal in trend. Obviously, we've been seeing a reversal in trend, so that's very evident, but I just like to see volume coming back. I would like to see more volume, of course, but that's always a good sign. And of course, if it's leading to positive price action, that's great too. And again, the volatility that we're seeing not only in CCIV, but actually CCIV weathered the storm much better than many names in the sector, which is what makes me significantly more comfortable. I'll say not necessarily bullish, but more comfortable holding a large position in CCIV, which I do right now, full transparency. But again, just higher highs, higher lows. We're seeing a spike in volume right now. I really like to see that. But again, short term, higher highs and higher lows. So high, low, higher high, higher low, as long as we are currently above $22. If we break below the low of this low right here, that would lead me to just pretty much be overall bearish on CCIV from a technical perspective. But because I don't think that's going to happen, once again, with the potential merger that's coming up very, very soon, CCIV, Lucid Motors. The vote is on July 22nd, so on just a couple of weeks from now, you guys. And then if that happens, we are going public. That merger is being executed on July 23rd, just a day after, okay? So I don't know exactly what's going to happen here. Obviously, I don't want to make any statements like I know exactly what's going to happen. But if we do start ripping over the next week or so, okay, be very, very cautious of a potential buy the hype, sell the news, okay? So, of course, the positive price action, if we start ripping, that is going to lead to, like we have right now, like more and more people, the volume coming back, the eyeballs on these names are going to lead to more people understanding, hey, why is this price action happening? They're going to understand that the merger is about to occur. They're all going to know, because you can just Google it and know when it's going to happen. Votes on 22nd, it's going to happen on 23rd. Be careful around the 21st if we start ripping, like, say we start ripping by the 21st or something, or say we reach like one of my price targets before the 22nd, I'm obviously going to be taking taking profits, if we do see price action like that, okay? So in terms of overall price targets, you guys, I've covered this before, but I will just zoom out here again. Initial price target to the upside is about 55% up from current levels. That is to close at least the bottom of this gap, since CCIV fell off an absolute cliff. Probably the biggest gap I've ever seen, ranging from like $55 down to $40. That's absolutely insane. But again, that volatility is like that volatility leads to a lot of people, leads to a lot of investors just being aware of CCIV. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Like a very common statement in cryptocurrency is the volatility is a feature, not a bug. And the same thing applies for all of these sectors, okay? All of these revolutionary, exciting sectors, the volatility, it's a feature, it's not a bug, okay? The volatility leads to more attention. And when you're talking about these, again, these very hyper growth, these very exciting, these very almost story stocks, in all reality, many of these are story stocks in the moment, you need that attention. You need the eyeballs on these names, because the eyeballs and excitement is what leads to the price action, okay? So price target initially for CCIV is going to be about $40 to close the bottom side of this gap. Next level up is going to be kind of the midway point of this gap, around $50. Of course, $50 is an overall psychological even as well. And then if everything goes pretty, in all honesty, it's obviously possible to breach the previous high, the previous 2021 high at that, of $65 by the end of this year, if all goes very, very accordingly, of course. But to the upside, I'll personally probably be taking a lot of profits around like 55, 56 bucks to close the top side of that gap if everything goes very, very well. But CCIV, the beautiful thing about this too is that this is like an epitome. If we do see another rip up, this will be the epitome of just a massive, massive good old two-wave theory pattern. Okay, so again, two-wave theory. First wave up, you see that initial wave up, bubble pops, following all the hype and FOMO. You see a massive dump. This is again, gap down, crazy dump. You see the hype, the volume dissipate, you go sideways, you capitulate for a while, you reaccumulate, and then that second wave, more often than not, is gonna be significantly greater than the first wave, okay? So I'm not saying that's destined to happen or anything, but if it does play out, it will be very fulfilling to see that play out, not only for my portfolio, but for the good old two-wave theory as well. Okay, so keep an eye on this one. Again, you guys, always go into the charts for yourself, draw your own trend lines, especially if you're trading these guys, and get excited because I'm very, very excited to see how the remainder of the month of July plays out for CCIV and, of course, for many other names as well. Workhorse getting absolutely smoked over the past few trading sessions, you guys. So zoom into Workhorse, and then I'll talk to you guys about some of the more macro things I see playing out here over the course of the next like 30 days or so, all right? Okay, so Workhorse, unfortunately today we did break below this bull flag pattern that I was keeping a close eye on for the better part of the past, almost month or so now. But bull flag again, parabolic move up followed by ascending triangle. I did think this was going to play out, and I'm not actually discounting it from playing out yet because we could still be playing out this pretty janky bull flag. So parabolic move up, this orange line you can see right here is where Workhorse actually based this morning, okay? And this base, the reason I do think we bounced a little bit right here is because that's where we bounced following that parabolic run up and just absolutely dumping. So again, Workhorse pumps up to over $18, and that same like day or two comes back down here to where we currently are sitting at about $12.50, following a crazy amount of volume. Workhorse, the thing that I really like to see about Workhorse, and again, you guys, this is a meme stock, this is a Reddit stock right now, so keep that in mind. Workhorse fundamentally, I do really like from a more medium to long-term perspective. I think the area that they consume and like the projects that they're taking on within this just electric vehicle ecosystem and the next generation of vehicles is very good with like utility and delivery vehicles. I think that's a purpose that will need to be filled. And I do think Workhorse has a pretty solid foot in again in their respective realm of the EV ecosystems. But right now, strictly from a technical perspective, we have a lot of eyeballs on Workhorse. That's great for a company that's only worth about $1.5 billion, $1.5 billion. A $1.5 billion company, of course, does not take much capital inflow to appreciate the individual share price of the stock. A thought that goes through my mind right now is so AMC. The typical, the king, the epitome of a meme stock, okay? AMC, the apes, whatever that is. I don't follow it. I probably should, but I don't. AMC apes, like the army behind AMC, I'll just call them the AMC army, is a unit, you guys. The market cap of AMC is $20 billion right now, okay? So just imagine a fraction of that capital flows into Workhorse. Imagine a tenth of that capital just would obviously be, and I'm not going to say that all that $20 billion market cap is obviously not just retail, but say like just 1.5 billion of that flowed into Workhorse, flowed into another very popular meme stock, which again, $1.5 billion with 2x the current market cap, of course 2x the share price as a matter of 2x in the market cap. And then if that happened, again, that exciting price action leads to more eyeballs, leads to more people jumping on the hype train. And that's just one of the few things on top of just being overall bullish on the EV sector that makes me think that Workhorse could see some very, very exciting price action, okay? So right now, Workhorse, again, basing out right here as far as downside potential, I do not think it's very likely at all. Again, because Workhorse, and also you guys, I mentioned this in the Sunday stock, or the Monday stock watch, I guess, that I sent out the newsletter, the private one. So I kind of forgot to mention it now, but I will, obviously, for right now. They do have a stake in the company Lordstown Motors, which is ticker symbol RIDE. And the SEC and DOJ just initiated a probe on RIDE. And because Workhorse has some business affiliation and I believe a 10% stake in RIDE that cannot be sold for 2 years, please, you guys, correct me on that if I'm wrong down in the comments. But Obviously, because they are affiliated with Lordstown Motors or Ride, they did pretty much mirror the price action of Ride. I believe that was on Friday, okay, as we closed out last trading week. Okay, so that was the initial catalyst that led to just these 3 trading days of just absolute carnage in Workhorse. But I do believe short term that we're due for a bounce. Again, we based out right here. We can still play out this bull flag. Just switch this cyan line right here at the base for the orange one. Bounce up, maybe test resistance around here, come down a little bit, and then resolve around mid to later July. So again, you guys, the entirety of this sector, I'm not going to say that this short term looks crazy promising. Maybe we do see a little bit more downside. But by the end of the month, I do think the second half of July is going to be very, very exciting, obviously, because of positive price action for this sector. And I do think things will start to pick up. A big reason that I talked to one of my Discord guys about this today is that we saw so much carnage, once again, not only in the EV sector, but many hyper growth sectors of the stock market, is because that's kind of how summers roll. Summers are usually slower. The S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow all climbed today. And that's because, and the reason for that is because I mean, it's pretty obvious when you understand the dynamic of market cycles, that so much capital is just kind of getting scared out. Right now, a lot of capital is getting scared out of these more exciting sectors, of the growth sectors, of again, EVs, cannabis, biotechs. Like, dude, Sorrento and Novavax got smoked today for like no reason, aside from these were hype. A lot of people were holding them. And because of these names, again, this has been like kind of a slow bleed over the past few trading sessions. Investors are kind of sick of probably losing this money, and they see the S&P going up. They want to fly. They're flocking to safer names of the market. Again, the blue chips, the mega caps, the S&P, the Apples, the Amazons, the traditional stocks, especially ahead of earnings, okay? So I will probably do like a macro analysis sometime over the next week or so, because earnings are to come up, and I'm actually kind of hesitant on big tech, especially like FANG's earnings. But regardless, we are talking about Workhorse right now. Let's see this bull flag play out. Hopefully this does play out as a bull flag. Worst case scenario will be to fill the bottom of this gap right here around 1150. I personally don't think it's likely at all that Workhorse goes below 1150. If that happens, I'll probably be bagging up. Again, shout out portfolio group. Know exactly when that happens. But also, from a macro perspective, I also think it's very likely that Workhorse plays out this massive, massive inverse head and shoulders, okay? First of all, you actually look at this range right here, these purple lines. So base right here, the purple is, again, even if we do come down to 1150, that would still be right in that exact range of this overall head and shoulders. And the top range right here, again, you see all these touch points. This is kind of where we peaked out on this recent rip up, on this little kind of janky bull flag. But this is still very, very in play. So obviously, inverse head and shoulders, the opposite of the head and shoulders, but the very, very bullish, the bullish cousin, the bullish brother, the bullish twin of the head and shoulders, the inverse head and shoulders. So again, move down, creating one shoulder, a little dip up, creating the upside down head, and then the other shoulder. And because these two spheres I made, or these two arches that I drew here, are exactly mirrored, if these play out with the exact same timing, that would lead us to a very, very exciting Workhorse price, $28. Of course, because that would be the full resolution of this head and shoulders. Actually, not even the full resolution. The full resolution would technically be like up here, because this was a gap down. So the full resolution would be above like $30. So just call it $30 would be a complete resolution of this head and shoulders. And that would happen exactly by August 5th. Again, you guys, I'm not guaranteeing this to play out, because there's such a significant gap down following some very negative fundamentals, like the news of them not getting the USPS contract. That's, of course, what led to this dump, this absolute just jump off a cliff right here. So maybe we break out of this bull flag and go up sideways in a much more organic way. But you guys, I'm very bullish. Maybe it takes longer. I could be completely wrong here, you guys. But this head and shoulders is 100% in play, and if it does play out as I expect it to, and I do think we're going to come up. I think we're going to break out of this bull flag-like pattern. I think we're going to fill this gap right here, and from current levels, if we get to $30, of course, you're looking at almost a 3x, not quite a 3x, but again, like a 2.5x, up 140% if we were to get to $30 from here and fill like the dead center of this gap, okay? So price target for Workhorse is still $30 over the next like 30 days or so. And again, you guys, maybe it takes a little longer. This is definitely optimistic. Like a 2.5x is optimistic. But we've seen it before. I would not be surprised at all to see it happen again in not only Workhorse, but so many players in the sector, because they've gotten just so smoked over the course of the past few months, all right? So that's Workhorse. Keep a close eye on that one. Let's kind of breeze through these guys. Helion is looking good right now. So Helion, once again, very, very promising potential here. I just need to see Helion. I've been saying this in the newsletter so much. At this point, right now, Helion... Excuse me, guys, again, voice is shot, forgive me. But Helion really needs to break this red line right here. This is the overall line of resistance. Very, very significant line of resistance that once Helion breaks, I'm hyper bullish. I'm so freaking bullish on Helion if we break this line. And the longer we move up, the longer we draw this off, the lower the price target for this potential line of resistance break becomes, okay? So 1250 as of right now, July, I mean, I guess right now it would be about 1275. Call it very conservatively 1275, but pretty much a break of 1250 at this point would lead me to believe that we're freaking off to the races, because this line of resistance is so important. If we do break out of this descending channel that we're currently in as well, again, unfortunately, Helion did kind of break out of this little bull flag that I had rolling right here, but that's okay. We are still in this ascending channel. Today, we perfectly tested the line of support on said descending channel. I'm sorry. So it only makes sense to me that we are on our way back up to test the top side of this descending channel, which would take us to about $12 by just by next week. So I do think that we are on our way back up to $12. But again, the tighter we come here, if we break out of this, line of resistance on the descending channel, we very well may see a pop up. And if we see that pop up, we'll break that overall line of long-term resistance on that massive, massive downtrend. Okay. So I do just sum it up right now. I'll keep saying this until we see it. Break at 1250. I'm hyper bullish on Helion, and I'm going to be so excited to see that when it happens, not if it happens. It's a matter of when, not if, in my opinion. So you guys just keep an eye on this 1225, 1250, 1275 level, depending of course on when these lines are tested, because once this red line is broken, I'm so confident that Helion is going to pop off. Okay, and I can't wait to make that video. Helion stock is popping off. All right, so that's Helion. Let's quickly go over ChargePoint and Blink, although that's why I kind of felt weird about covering this article, because actually ChargePoint and Blink are the two plays in the sector that I'm kind of least excited about right now from a technical perspective. And again, you guys, although I'm so bullish on plays like ChargePoint and Blink in the long term, just read over this, of course, EV infrastructure, like these charging stations, especially ChargePoint, seeing a lot of volume here. So from an overall more macro perspective, ChargePoint looks good. Short term technically it looks terrible, but long term, ChargePoint and Blink, especially ChargePoint, I'm very, very bullish on. Okay, so I'll just establish that right now. But again, ChargePoint breaking out of just a few days ago. So ChargePoint breaking out of what was probably breaking down below, I guess, not breaking out, breaking down below what was the most beautiful ascending channel I've ever seen. So again, textbook ascending channel. You Google image search ascending channel, this is what should come up. But unfortunately, all good things do come to an end. It broke below it, and since then has been pretty much falling off a cliff. So again, right now, downside targets are a little tough. I would just say this is this is a level I'm going to look at right here. Just the previous high, the high prior to kicking off the rally that we're seeing right now. So downside price target for ChargePoint, I guess, is kind of $27. At that point, I would be looking for a bounce. But again, after this, because we've broken out of what was such a strong ascending channel with such momentum and such organic, just organic momentum, which I really like to see. That's the beauty of ascending channels all the time. It's going to take a little bit of time. We're probably going to bounce off this, go a little sideways until we see that next rip up. But overall price target for ChargePoint is going to be around here, just because this has acted as such a ceiling for ChargePoint. We spent so much time around this area, right around, what is that, $42, $44? So 42 to 44 is the range of my price targets for ChargePoint. If this happens, always remember, you guys, previous support acts as new resistance. If my price targets where I have the sign line drawn coincides with when ChargePoint chooses to retest this line of previous support as new resistance, that would take us to $42 on August 6th. So again, you guys, maybe this takes some time. Maybe things are a little slow, but I do think that at least in the second half of the month of July, things will definitely start picking up again. But again, you guys, that's just kind of summer. Summers are historically slower. They're more volatile. Again, everyone's out and about. They're using all the money they just made from all the stocks that have ripped at the beginning of the year to go out on vacation. They're less excited about investing money in the markets, and that's okay. That's cycles, but it's important that you realize that and you understand that so you can use it to your advantage in the future. Okay, so ChargePoint. Let's go over Blink quick and then close it out with the two OTC plays. Blink, again, right here, you guys, not looking, it's pretty hard to read right now. So Blink did find some support right here. Again, just looking at this area right here, acted just on this move up as Blink broke out of this massive bull flag as a solid ceiling right here, solid area of support prior to breaking out of that ceiling. So both resistance and support. Excuse me, guys. This area has been this area has proven to be a trend line that is currently in play. So Blink downside potential here is not much as far as asymmetric risk profile goes. Blink looks pretty appealing to me right now. Once again, just because this is kind of a two-wave playing out. Blink, because it's seen such crazier price action and so many plays in the market. Thing about Blink, it is still sitting at a $1.5 billion market cap. ChargePoint, I believe, is around like $6 billion or something like that. So Blink is a significantly smaller company. So that's why it is more prone to see this crazy price action. But it's still important to remember that in terms of like performance, like year to date, where's the year to date performance on Blink? So year to date, it's still up 362%. Crazy even after following this correction, but does look like a two-wave right here. I mean, you could say this is kind of two-wave, but two-wave, first wave, bubble pops, capitulation. We're probably going to see a second wave at some point. And again, you guys, even if this takes time, I'm very confident that many of the plays within this sector will see another run. That's just how markets work. That's how cycles work, especially, once again, with all of the money that is about to be poured, all the billions and billions of dollars that are about to flood into this ecosystem as a whole, okay? So Blink, I mean, as far as, again, asymmetric risk profile, I think Blink, I'm personally holding Blink at these levels, of course. And as far as downside potential goes, I don't think there's much more. Maybe we come down a little bit more, but there is a lot of support around the $34 level, so it would not be that much in my opinion, okay? Thing about Blink, very little volume. Again, especially compared to back here, that's the thing I don't like about Blink as well, is just the lack of volume that is currently present here, okay? But keeping a close eye, long-term still bullish. I just wanted to cover it for you guys because I have been talking about it. I want to keep you guys posted if you're trading it personally. Let's close it out with IQST and ALYI. We'll call it a day. So IQST, I'm just going to say right now, you guys, IQST versus ALYI, I'm way more bullish on IQST from pretty much every front until I see some goddamn bikes from ALYI. ALYI, show me the bikes. I need to see those 2,000 bikes. Show me your warehouse. Show me the bikes. Show me that order. Show me the receipts, baby, okay? So IQST technically also looks better. We are seeing volume come back on IQST, which I love to see. That's huge, especially with the stock as freaking small as IQST, okay? So IQST, again, was in this nice symmetrical wedge pattern, bullish pennant following a breakout of the overall resistance. Once it broke out of that, gapped straight up, saw a lot of volume here, a lot of buying pressure, moved up, came back down, printed a little bull flag, which actually looked very promising, but unfortunately today broke below that. Over the past two trading days, actually broke below that instead of out. Yeah, it happens, you guys. Again, with bull flags, very high hit rate, but sometimes they don't play out, especially with these smaller cap plays. Like, sometimes they don't play out, and that's okay. You just play the odds, okay? But from a technical perspective, I mean, from like a today short-term, very short-term perspective, we perfectly bounced off of the previous resistance of this bullish pennant, okay? So, again, previous resistance will act as new support. Perfectly bounced off of it, came back down, closed right above that. So it only makes sense that now that previous resistance has been tested as new support, there's a higher high in place. This is probably going to base out as a lower low. I am expecting another short-term move up for IQST. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we close out the week in the green, maybe even above this previous level over here, okay? So IQST, fundamentally, again, very small, very realistically, like a story stock. Again, you guys, these are speculative plays, especially ALYI is like, at this point, the epitome of a speculative play. But if they execute on what they say they're going to do, there's the most potential of any of the stocks we're talking about by far, okay? So these are still very speculative. Again, these OTC plays, they are just such a young company, still such companies that are in such a stage of development that they can't not be speculative. But IQST is making progress. I was just talking to some guy in the Discord as well about some vehicles that I believe they are going to be. I mean, they're obviously in the works now if they're announcing them at all. But by the end of the year, they do want to dabble in actual vehicles. Right now, they're just making parts and kind of collaborating on other projects to help them design parts and scale parts and whatnot. But it would be cool to see them actually scale their operations and create their own product, okay? But technically, IQST, very short term, looks pretty promising. Let's close it out with ALYI, which is the opposite of promising. No volume here aside from that whack spike that we saw back here. So I don't know what that was about. Unfortunately, today as well, it did break this nice symmetrical, pretty similar to IQST actually, like breakout, Boom, symmetrical triangle, bullish pennant, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, broke the line of resistance there just today. You could say that we are kind of still forming this bull flag pattern, which is possible. And again, right here, like this actually looks pretty solid. If ALYI does come up tomorrow and then base out around here again at about like 4.5 cents, I will believe, especially if we get some fundamentals, if we get some great news, like say by the end of this week, if Friday, because that's when ALYI usually releases news, if on Friday they're like, hey, check out all these bikes. We got even 20 bikes, a lineup of bikes that can fill up the frame of an iPhone camera. If I see that, I will be stoked, but I need to see some physical product. They said July. Give them to the end of the month, but it's July now and I haven't gotten any updates. And trust me, you guys, I still want to believe in this. I still do believe that they'll execute, but the further we get into July, the more pissed off I personally become, and the less bullish and more bearish I get on ALYI as a company, because they're not delivering on their freaking word. Okay, so let's hope they do that. ALYI, if anyone over there is watching, come through. You got to come through for the homies over the Waves fam. But, I mean, from a technical perspective, it just doesn't look good. There's no volume here. And maybe this bull flag plays out. But if IQST is any indication, it's probably not going to. Okay, so once again, though, I do want to say, you guys, if they can come through, just on any fundamentals of any sort, if they can come through with those bikes, with a photo, nice little press release, say all the same things, say the buzzwords and stuff, show a picture of the freaking bikes, okay? So if I see that, I'll be stoked. I will be pumped, and I will believe there's more upside ahead. But in all honesty, until that happens, I cannot be bullish on ALYI from a fundamental or technical perspective, okay? So we'll close it out there, you guys. And sorry to end that on kind of a sour note. I'm just a little pissed off on their lack of performance. But still, I'm very, very bullish on many of the plays in this sector, not only short term, once again, medium and long term as well. Primarily medium term, if not so much the short term, but there is a lot of potential here, you guys. This is just the direction the world is moving, and I do believe it's EVs. I believe it's their time to shine, okay? So please let me know in the comments down below which of these plays you're most bullish on. If I did not talk about a play that you really like in the EV or green energy sector that you want me to be aware of, please let me know in the comments. Always appreciate your guys' insight. Always love learning from you guys. So I'll catch you downstairs. Until next time, always remember, take action. Make waves. Peace.